One of the most amazing things about the digital world that we live in is how many tools we have at our disposal to create an income or just any sort of small business. And Shopify is leading the charge in that regard, especially when it comes to e-commerce. So in today's video, what I want to do is go over the Shopify editions for summer 24. Now, this is something that I'm a little bit late to the party to, but as you guys know, I always love to cover the latest things when it comes to Shopify. My company deals with all things Shopify when it comes to traffic, running ads for Shopify brands, or really a lot of other kinds of things, even retention when it comes to Shopify brands. And we work with 6, 7, 8, and even 9-figure stores, believe it or not. So I'm excited to go through this with you and showcase the latest things that Shopify has been up to. And especially, with my experience, I think I'll be able to add some nice little nuggets on top. And then actually, I will also treat you to a little bit of an interview that I did with the founder of an incredible Shopify brand who is actually running a store as a side hustle, but it's a full-out brand, and she's been using some of these new Shopify features that I'm about to talk about here. Now, let's just go through some of the top 10 things, right? I think this is probably the most important thing. I think it's really nice that Shopify did this and that they were able to just kind of condense this down to a top 10. So if we go here, let's just go through the introduction.
Welcome to Shopify's Summer 24 edition. For the past 20 years, we've been building Shopify to be the best software for running a business on the planet, to help make commerce better for everyone. If you've been paying attention to the past few editions, you'll have noticed we've been releasing new products at an incredible rate for D2C, B2B, retail, international developers, and more. But our platform's full potential can only truly be realized when its parts are seamlessly integrated, when it all works well together, hand in glove. That's why in this edition, we're doubling down on unifying key workflows and infrastructure all across Shopify so that it's faster, more resilient, and more tightly integrated than ever before. Like always, there are tons of features in this edition that add net new capabilities to Shopify, but I want to spend a minute on a couple of my favorite stories of unification. First, millions of merchants rely on Shopify to grow their businesses, whether it's to sell to new regions, scale into wholesale, or run a global network of retail stores.
That's one thing I do want to chip into right away. A lot of people don't know that Shopify has a lot of capabilities when it comes to wholesale and B2B. I think a lot of people overlook these features, and they're making it a little bit more available for everybody, which is really good because there's a lot of businesses out there that could really benefit from selling to other businesses, and this really allows them to do that. There's a lot of apps that already allow you to do that, but apparently we're going to get into some new things that Shopify has done to enable that.
Up until now, this work has been scattered across various parts of the Shopify admin and has sometimes required splitting one store into many to create the different setups. That's why we're rolling out a new central command center for expansion called Markets. Now, Shopify businesses can expand via cross-border, B2B, or through point of sale, all from a single screen in a single store, and create custom buyer experiences for each market without having to create multiple stores or jump through multiple scattered workflows. Markets will also give you a first-of-its-kind bird's-eye view of your entire business, a cheat sheet that shows exactly the markets you operate in, how each is configured differently, and how they all fit together. Growing and optimizing your business also depends on access to relevant, timely performance data that you can drill down into and easily explore to get important insights. That's why we've completely rebuilt and unified our analytics to work smarter, faster, and more intuitively. You'll have the flexibility to explore and pivot your data however you want.
We gotta admit, guys, like Shopify is one of the cleanest dashboards out there. I mean, this is beautiful. I really love the markets idea as well. I think that just makes it so much more simplified. I mean, kind of what they're talking about. They're really simplifying, adding features, but without overwhelming us with features, or at least overwhelming us with like clutter. They're simplifying everything while at the same time adding more robust features. That's pretty impressive.
To get the exact answers you're looking for and gather insights with pre-built reports made for commerce. And soon we'll be rolling out a centralized code editing experience that will allow you to seamlessly move back and forth between point and click reporting and writing Shopify QL code to query your data, all from the same screen. And we know waiting 24 hours to get up-to-date data just doesn't cut it. Good news, your analytics will now stream in real time. But we're not stopping there. Spread throughout the more than 150 updates in this edition, there are so many other stories of unification, such as, for those who use draft orders or the point of sale, they now work with discounts and discount functions. And Drafts now works with payment customizations, bundles, and manual payment methods for both D2C and B2B. For those selling B2B, you can now collect deposits at checkout, and you can build headless storefronts using the storefront and customer account APIs.
Wow.
And for our headless storefront devs, we're excited to give you a sneak peek of the Hydrogen Visual Editor powered by Utopia, which brings your code together with a visual editor, just like you're used to with Liquid and the online store. Over the past year, we've been embedding AI throughout the platform to keep you on the cutting edge. And we've extended AI image editing to everywhere in the admin you work with images. And now, the Shopify mobile app too, so you can make professional image edits anywhere, even
that's really
on the
cool.
go. We've also integrated Shopify Magic right into the product creation flow to make intelligent, specific recommendations for product categories and attributes, making it easier to classify your products so that they're searchable and discoverable on your own site, on social, and on marketplaces. Whether you're launching a new business or expanding your enterprise, we're excited to share with you the most unified Shopify yet.
Cool. So, okay, let's go into the markets. Okay, I don't know if we want to dive too deep into every single one of these videos, but you can see this is kind of what they were talking about, putting all the markets into one place. That was a great intro, by the way. Shopify is some of the best designers in the world. I feel like they just continuously get better and better when it comes to their designs. Now, yeah, customizable B2B and retail international markets, I really like this. Again, because a lot of people don't take advantage of business to business, which sucks. I feel like a lot of people don't get onto Shopify because of that. Now, this actually will enable a whole range of new businesses to get onto Shopify, which is really exciting to me, especially as a Shopify partner. I mean, I love the people at Shopify. Now, let's continue down here. I want to go to the Sell Globally tab because I think this will be huge, okay? So we're going to be able to enable markets across basically the whole entire world, which is really interesting. I really like this idea so that you don't have to split your Shopify store into different stores. This is actually a common approach that, people in the dropshipping world take, for example, when you want to tackle different markets or even big brands. It's really common to open up a store for whatever country you're looking to target, but this will allow you to just do it all in one place, which keeps things a lot simpler, unified, as they mentioned. That's definitely the common theme here. Let me read this themes for Japan. New theme and fonts for Japan. Oh, wow. Okay, so this is cool. For Japanese sellers, they're going to be able to add Japanese fonts and themes. That's really cool. So let's go to the world's best checkouts here, see what they have here. So split shipping in checkout. So that's going to allow you to have more clarity and choice at checkout by showing them when an order will be split into multiple shipments. That's really cool, especially actually if you're running a dropshipping store, right? If you're using something like AutoDS to connect your dropshipping store to suppliers, this will allow you to split the shipping on each one of the things that customers add, allowing your store to have a more robust product selection, even if you're dropshipping. Now, this feature right here, AI for commerce, this is actually the feature that the interviewee that I have for you uses the most. She uses this a lot to populate different sorts of, product descriptions, images, and that's sort of what they were highlighting a little bit with Shopify Magic. But Sidekick is another new feature that's coming, which is basically going to allow you to have your own Shopify guru there for you. I remember going to the Affiliate Summit last year, and they were starting to tease this idea, but at the time it wasn't, available to the wide public, so we couldn't say anything about it. But now they're actually starting to roll it out and talk about it publicly. I'm very excited about this feature because a lot of people do struggle with just little minute things, right? Little tedious things that, they're actually easy to solve sometimes, but, you have to go to support and they have to tell you. Instead, having Sidekick there for you would really be awesome. So AI conversations, so suggested replies in inbox. This is huge because, as you know, Shopify has a free app that allows you to have a chat on your store. Actually, if we go to akemirlab.com, by the way, just to show you quick, I have this feature enabled on my store. And Akemi Lab is also a really cool example of how you can get creative with Shopify, because Akemi Lab is an agency and education platform. It's not necessarily an e-commerce business, even though we do have this digital product here and we're planning on making more. But ultimately, it just shows you how easy it is to get creative and use Shopify for your business, even if you are not necessarily selling physical products. So that's really cool. I'm really excited about that. That's really awesome. The media editor, this is what they were mentioning in that intro. This is really helpful, especially for people who don't have the most resources, which is what Shopify is really made for, right? I mean, obviously there's massive brands that use it, but at the same time, there's very small businesses that use it and they don't have a ton of resources to get product photography rolling every single week. So this is going to allow you to really enhance your store and product images and make things look very congruent, which is really exciting in my opinion. Now, converting across more ad platforms, this is another feature they're adding. So it's going to allow you to send some of your data exclusively to some of the paid ads platforms, which is going to really help attribution. Unfortunately, this is only available to Shopify Plus merchants. A lot of our clients are Shopify Plus merchants, so we've been able to take advantage of that, but most people, are not going to be able to opt into that product, unfortunately. But yeah, that's really going to be able to help your retargeting campaigns, as they're talking about here, just because it's feeding all that data back into the platforms, and that's how the platforms work. That's how they learn. So that's basically it. I mean, some of the other features are a little bit advanced. I'll link, of course, some of these Shopify editions here in the description so you can check it out. YouTube shopping is coming. This is probably one of the bigger ones too. So advanced plans are going to be able to join the YouTube shopping affiliate program and sync your products to the YouTube creator network. I'm super excited about this one as well because, TikTok Shop has been absolutely killing it for so many merchants. And I think it's probably going to be the same with YouTube over time. Maybe not right away, but over time. So very excited for this feature. But that's really about it for this section of the video. Now, the last section here, I just want to share this interview because I think you're going to really enjoy it. It's a really raw conversation and super relatable, especially for a lot of you people that are just starting your business. Maybe you have a job and you're afraid to launch something on the side. This is going to be the perfect motivation that you need in order to do that. So without further ado, here is the interview. I appreciate you being here. And so, Mary, your brand is called Reprise, and you guys are doing really cool stuff. Tell me a little bit about the journey here at Reprise. How did this come about?
Yeah, it's actually a really interesting startup story. I didn't have a background in fashion or entrepreneurship really, and I started the brand 6 years ago. And it was really a moment where I was going through my closet, and I had a moment where I realized how much of my clothing was made with this material called polyester. I did some research, realized it was plastic. Had a moment where I'm like, I'm eating healthier. I started to invest in better cleaning products and natural beauty products, yet I'm wearing stuff that's still very, plastic based and chemical heavy after doing some research. And so really felt like, especially in the activewear space where you're sweating and your pores are open, we sort of deserved better, safer clothing. So launched with a Kickstarter 6 years ago and have just been sort of bootstrapping it and growing it ever since.
Wow, I didn't even know that, but that's actually a really, really powerful problem that you're solving there. I didn't really think about that, but you're right. Whenever we work out, that's like when we're probably most exposed to those things.
Yeah, they've done a bunch of research recently finding like sweat actually helps pull out the chemicals that are in clothing. So it's like a perfect storm for really needing some cleaner products. So it's been great to have a solution to offer everyone for that.
Wow. And you mentioned on our last conversation that you're not running any sort of like paid ads. How have you grown the business, organically? What are some things that you've done?
Yeah, we have, because we're a small brand and I've been really trying to do the bootstrapped method for as long as possible. We really focused on ways of like engaging community and organic growth. So we do leverage Instagram a lot, and starting to explore TikTok a bit more as well. And really just like we have partnered with like influencers and creators in the space. So that's a great way. And then we've also just got some really great press around sort of those news around chemicals and fashion. We've been listed in like, safer brands to shop, and that's helped grow the brand a lot. We doubled last year, and I think we'll hopefully triple, if not more, in revenue this year, all just based on sort of organic growth and really trying to find that like market timing, and connect organically with our customers.
Wow, that's powerful. I don't think many people, at least from my community, ever consider like PR and those sorts of things. Was that sort of like a random thing that happened, or were you pretty intentional about it?
Yeah, I was pretty intentional about it. I felt like, I had always read, roundups in magazines and things growing up of like the brands and sort of that's where I found out about sort of what brands to shop. And it was a really same thing, like very scrappy, resourceful startup method of like looking at sort of, in some of the publications we wanted to be featured, who's often writing about those, setting Google alerts, reaching out to them when they do write an article that's relevant and saying, hey, next time you do this, we would love to be included. Happy to send you a pair. We now have someone who's helping with PR, but really at the beginning, it was like tracking Google alerts, figure out who's who, looking on LinkedIn, and just kind of cold pitching and really trying to see, with the sample if they'd be willing to cover and trying to find any sort of like in or like a friendly contact. So, but it's been great. It's been really helpful, and I think really staying able to stay like relevant and on top of any kind of news articles that are happening.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, that I could see how powerful that would be. Like, gives you so much authority too when people see that. So, I mean, I'm curious. You are. I guess you could consider yourself a bit of a solopreneur type of thing. You're kind of. You said you only have contractors that work with you. How has that
Yeah,
been? I'm really curious about that.
yeah, it's been interesting. I when I first started the brand, I was very clear on like, here's what I want to create. I knew that I didn't want to work with any plastic-based fabrics. I knew where I wanted to produce it. I was like just so excited about the mission and driven that I was kind of like heads down, was kind of happy to build it myself. And as it grew, I really recognized there's certain areas that my skill level doesn't lie in. Marketing, more on like the creative and content creation side is one of them. Um, Finances is always another one that's I think tough for a lot of small business entrepreneurs. So in the past year, I've hired sort of contract or part-time employees in those areas, and it's been so nice to have a team. Now we meet once or twice a week, and just feeling the support. And there's times where it does feel lonely. Entrepreneurship is very lonely, but being able to get on a call and see other people who are excited about your mission and committed on a day-to-day basis to help you growing it um, is great. I feel super thankful for them, but it definitely is. You have to be, you have to love having a new challenge every day and really love learning and growing because that's exactly what it is. I feel like even production, every single time we run production, there's like another challenge or another issue. And so it really is something that I think, for solopreneurs out there, you have to really love kind of challenging yourself and growing every day because even as you grow, there's new challenges.
Yeah, so true. And I mean, when it comes to production, you guys have really, really well produced stuff. So it is kind of surprising too that, you've kind of built this solo. Have you built like good relationships with photographers or something, or how do you leverage, I guess, your network to bootstrap this?
Yeah, yes, definitely. We've done a couple of studio shots with friends. I'm based in New York, and so there's a ton of really cool studios and things to leverage right in the city here. We're doing actually a really cool photo shoot today. It's happening in Portland through friends who, same thing, they knew people who were willing to, they just needed content for their website, really do a lot of like trade-offs for like content both ways. Like we can use the images, we both can. Um, and there's a really great company called Suna that I've used as well that aims to make content creation and photography very affordable for small businesses. And so that's one that we've leveraged as well, just trying to find really like affordable partnerships and continue to kind of work with them. But again, always sort of seeing like other small businesses and where you can really partner together to both offer and leverage a project.
That's smart. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like exchanging services or seeing where things can be mutually beneficial. I think that's a great idea. Now, when it comes to pivoting a little bit, but not really that much, leveraging AI to just sort of maintain the lean startup approach that you got going on, how have you been using AI to support your business so far?
Yeah, a bunch of really cool ways. I've been playing around with it a lot recently. Um, a lot of it is around like content generation. So I've used it for when I was hiring for the part-time employees, putting together like job descriptions and kind of understanding what that looks like and sort of what other projects other than the ones I knew I immediately needed. So that's been great. Within Shopify, I've been using a lot of the like product descriptions. There's the new media editor tool, which I'm happy to talk about, removing backgrounds, editing photos. Um, Another really cool, really random use case was I'm just starting to work with a fulfillment center,
Mm.
and they were asking me sort of how many pallets do you expect this new production order to take up? And I've never worked in pallets before. I've always just had things sent to a storage unit in boxes. And so, I asked the question to ChatGPT, and it was very cool, like listing out the entire process. It was like, well, leggings take up this much space and they're packaged this way, and this many packages fit in this size box, and this many boxes fit in a pallet. And it kind of did the whole layout for me, and we got to a good estimation. And I felt confident with it when I got checked it with other friends. So
Wow.
it's very cool. You can really ask so much of it. But I think the content generation, especially when it comes to the Shopify side and the store, are probably where I've leveraged it most recently.
That's super cool. I'm sure that helps a lot, especially with a store like yours where you have so many different products, and I'm sure you're always releasing new stuff. How does that work? Do you plan out collections to release, or do you just kind of throw products and keep testing?
Yeah, we have to plan ahead because we have to order the fabric is all custom made for us because we
Mm,
work with very specific clean plant-based fabric. And then same thing, the cut and sew of the production, you have to hit certain minimums, which is around like 200 units. And so it's definitely very planned out. But to your point, when a new collection comes in, it's a whole bunch of new product listings, product photos, product descriptions. So being able to just enter in a couple keywords, some branding, some guidance, and have everything updated, it's tough to come up with a different product description for like many different types of leggings. So it's really great to have a little like AI assistance for helping to kind of at least get like the like basis of the text together. And then of course we can sometimes go in and edit it a bit there, but it's been really helpful to just save a lot of time.
I'm sure. You told me last time too that one of your latest and I guess like one of your first sort of team hires has been a CFO, somebody to handle finances. How has that impacted the business?
It's been super helpful. There's, I think, just a lot of ways of really planning ahead. I think when you're small and you're bootstrapped, it's a lot more of like a reactive. I also still have this is my side hustle, so I think just limited time, and I was just reacting to finances, looking at the bank account, seeing what we had, trying to plan ahead, but really having assistance in that. He's helped with a bit of fundraising. We're working on a sort of first investor deal right now, which is really exciting. And I think just really being able to kind of set goals. What do our like revenue KPIs look like? Sort of what are the margins really need to be able to grow it? Can we start to introduce some different like discounts and things like that where we can really start to help work with new people or work launch an affiliate program. So just a lot of the modeling and forecasting. But then again, just having support on it and holding myself accountable too to like really focus on the finances. Because when you're by yourself, you really have to have to be self-motivated about it.
True. Yeah, it sounds amazing to have someone else also focused on the finances. But I found it intriguing because I feel like that's not the first thing that people hire. I think most people are like excited about growth or whatever, but I feel like that's a really smart thing to actually just kind of hold the brakes on that and say, let's actually just build like the strongest foundation we can. I think that's really smart.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, trying to realize that growth is expensive and takes money to grow. And so making sure that we are, have our books in order and are profitable and investing in the right channels when we're ready to. I'm hoping will work out well.
Yeah, I think you mentioned affiliate marketing. I feel like that's a really powerful thing these days, especially with TikTok. Everybody is an influencer these days. You don't need followers anymore in order to go viral, which is it's really interesting.
Yeah, the whole landscape has changed, and our product really sort of requires a bit of that educational component. If people aren't already aware of, traditional activewear and the synthetics and chemicals, it does take a little bit longer. It's not just like a static ad will always work. And so I'm excited to really partner with people who kind of share that message, share the mission, talk about their own journey with finding cleaner products. And I think that will be hopefully a really effective channel, but I'm excited to work with more people who could, help share that message.
Yeah, that sounds really, really powerful. I find so far too that like actually the more like educational something is, it's almost like the better because people will watch longer, and when they watch longer, it goes more viral. So it's actually a pretty good formula.
That's true. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah. So, you mentioned briefly a little bit that this is actually a side hustle. So you actually work at an agency on the side, and I really like that. Actually, I thought that was really cool because a lot of people, just kind of throw caution at the wind, and they just say, you know what, let me just go all in on this. And I think that actually causes a lot of people to fail because then they have to make all these emotional decisions, and they're panicking all the time. So how has it affected your mindset, I guess, knowing that you have this like consistent income that you have? How has that affected the business?
Yeah, it's such an interesting question because I've heard both sides. There are definitely people I've talked to who are like having the backup of having, a full-time job is keeping you safe and you're not working as hard on the business. But I've heard, and that might be true for some people, but personally, I'm so passionate about the business and driven by the mission that I feel like I'm still excited when I get out of work to like work on it or wake up early to try to like get orders fulfilled or things like that, even after 6 years of doing it. And I think it's allowed me to build smarter. Like I said, I probably wouldn't have had the funds to hire the marketing team that we have and the CFO if I was also paying myself. New York is an expensive city. And so it really allowed me to kind of balance and build the team that I needed to first before jumping in myself. So, of course, it's hard, it's a lot of work, but I think it allows you to kind of build in a little bit, it's maybe slower but sustainable way and really sort of build the foundations, get the team together without so much pressure. And I'd love to eventually dive in and do it full time. And I'm hoping that time is coming soon, but I want to feel ready and just not put unnecessary stress and pressure on the business or go too early.
That's that's wise. I feel like I'm just curious, do you have entrepreneurial experience prior to this, or do you have like entrepreneurs in your family, or how did that come about?
Yeah, my dad is an entrepreneur. He built a business when we were growing up, and now he's pivoted and has a nonprofit. So I definitely have seen him driven by his passions and really kind of building that. And I didn't know how inspired I was by it until I started my own business and really realized how much we have in common.
Mm,
And I think just there's a lot you can learn. There's so many cool resources out there, videos, YouTube channels, newsletters of just kind of like taking it slow and learning. And to be honest, it wasn't what I thought. I would launch our Kickstarter and quit within 6 months and be doing it full time. And so this wasn't like the original plan I had, but sometimes things just work out in the ways that they're supposed to. And definitely thankful now on the other side of it that I have stayed for so long. But it is funny. Sometimes you think one way that how it's going to work out, especially in business, you have a mental plan. And sometimes it goes completely the other way. And you just kind of have to be adaptable and maybe plan B, C, and D and kind of just
true.
be open to other ways that work for you.
Yeah, I think you said it too. Like, for some people, it's different, but it's really important. I agree with you. Like finding kind of what works for you. I feel the same way. Like the way that I approach my business is like we have a couple different sort of, I guess, income streams that come through, which to some people may be dumb to like just not focus all in on one thing. But for me, it helps keep me less stressed, like knowing that we have a little bit of a safety net to rely on.
Oh, totally. Yeah, you got to do what works best for you. And there's no right way
Exactly.
to build a business.
Right. No, you're right. And I also, there's a really relevant quote that you reminded me of just now. I heard Jeff Bezos said this. He says, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And then there's another quote that I don't know, I think Bill Gates said it or something. He was like, we overestimate what we can do in a year and underestimate what we can do in 10. So I feel like those two combined quotes kind of perfectly encapsulate like, your journey
Mhm.
and where you're at, like I could see this really taking off exponentially sooner than you think, especially with like the short form content era that we're living in and just like the nature of it so viral. So it's really cool. I'm happy that we were able to have this conversation, and this is a totally
Yeah,
different approach than most people take, I would say.
thank you. I appreciate that. I love those quotes. That's definitely it's inspiring. Just kind of keep building and have a vision, of course, but being open and flexible and kind of connected to the bigger picture.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm curious now, just a little bit of like more practical advice. What would you say? Uh, you told me a little bit about the back end of the business, like you do a decent amount of email marketing. How has that affected the business? Has that allowed you to sort of keep like some things consistent, or what?
Yeah, the email marketing has been our biggest driver of revenue and growth.
Interesting.
We, because again, I mentioned there's a bit of educational aspect around the products. We start with the first email really explaining kind of here's the problem, here's what we're looking to solve. It gets people excited and then it tends to convert very well. So we send pretty consistently 2 to 3 times a week, and that's what some of the marketing team um, works on, just really understanding. We're just starting to track now really like what types of content is working. Is it more product focused, is it more educational focused? So really like looking into the data and understanding also just some interesting like time of day of week, send times, and what's working.
Mm.
And it's one of the channels that you own, like you own your email list. And so things like TikTok, if it does get banned, like that's a source that like a lot of people will could lose. I hope it doesn't happen, but email is kind of the one thing that you own. It was just always taught to me when I first started that that's like the channel that you should really like focus on, because the other ones, you just never know. So yeah, that's been a great one. So for us, and really looking to kind of like, continue to build on that and understand what's working. And but I feel like we send great emails. So if people are interested, you can sign up on our website.
Yeah, that's really cool. And you said also you have a new collection dropping soon or something like that. What's that about?
Yeah, so right now our products are incredibly soft and comfortable. They feel kind of like a cotton, but better. And they really are, they're great for performance, but most people find them to be much more like your leisure, everyday activewear. And so we're coming out with a very first line of high performance activewear that will be fully biodegradable and non-toxic. So it's kind of a first of its kind. And with our new factory in Portugal. So I'm super excited, and it will
Cool.
hopefully drop this fall.
Wow, that's really cool. So you're getting it produced in Portugal. That's actually awesome.
Yeah, I was excited. It's a woman-owned factory, and they have a just really high level of regulation in Europe around chemical usage and sustainability and labor laws. So it fits a lot with the brand ethos, and I'm excited to partner with a more like-minded factory and be able to expand a bit more.
Yeah, that sounds cool. I feel like this is such a principled brand, and maybe that could that's probably why maybe it's difficult to grow at the beginning, but long term, that's why it could be so powerful. That's really awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. So, I guess I would love to know just some uh, what are some last tips, I guess, that you can give? Because my audience in particular is a lot of people that are actually looking to get into a business. They're not necessarily already successful with a business or struggling with their business. They're actually sort of trying to get ideas for a business. What would you say is some things that they should know before they hop in?
Yeah. My one advice to everyone is always do it. Like if you think you want to do it, absolutely you should. Not everyone has to build the next like multi-million dollar business. It can be just successful if it's, tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue. I think the personal growth and achievement that you get from even just setting up your first store, getting your first customer, sending out your first product, like those are all really incredible achievements. And I think everyone who wants to feel that absolutely should take a stab at it. And again, it could just be a couple of years and that's all it is. It doesn't mean that that's a failure. It could still be that's a success if that's your goal. Um, and once you do decide to commit, which I think everyone should, there are so many great tools. I mean, all of your content is super helpful. There's all a tons of free resources on YouTube and podcasts. I Googled a lot of things. Shopify built the store there. There's great free help advice there and tons of tutorials. And you don't need to have like a huge budget or an MBA or anything to start it. I think there's so many great. We live in a very like open web content driven world. And I think that's super cool. And it's a better time than ever to start because I think a lot of those barriers to entry are now removed. And so, anyone can do it if you're just driven enough and have a good enough idea. And um, all the great resources there to help you along the way.
That's amazing. That's great advice. I agree. I feel like also with like ChatGPT and everything, people don't Google things enough. Like I've always been the same way where like if I don't know something or like I'm stuck with something, I just Google it. It sounds like such simple advice, but it's really good advice because a lot of people just
And
don't
really,
do
there's
that.
a lot out there. I know. I'm sometimes surprised. Or like when I asked, like I said, the Chat GPT, how many cartons would the boxes come in? It was so helpful, and it was really interesting to kind of see the thought process that it went through too. And I learned something there. And so, learning process every day.
True. Well, Mary, where can people find you and Reprise if they want to go shop or just follow the journey?
Yeah. Our website is just repriseactivewear.com. It's Reprise. And then on social, we're just same thing at Reprise Activewear.
Amazing. Do you have any social medias or personal brand or anything, or are you just focused on the business?
Yeah, I have a personal account too, where I sometimes post a little bit of like just the behind the scenes of running the brand. It's a little bit of personal and brand building. And that's at Mary B612. My Minnesota roots I still have.
Oh wow, that's my phone. My phone number starts with 612. That's amazing. Cool. Well, I'll give you a follow, and everyone else, hopefully, they can go follow too. And yeah, I would love to see some more behind the scenes on the brand, like brand founder stuff. Works really well these days with short form.
Definitely, it's fun to share the journey.
Sweet. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, great. Have a great day.
You too. Okay. Bye bye.